Let's start this one with just a bit of a tone. Maybe we'll try something a little more melodic this time. It's down pretty quiet. I think our velocity is set to 100, and me not pressing too hard on the keys has a lot to do with that. Turn this up also. Cool. Let us drop a chorus in. And I'm going to see if I can maybe conjure something sort of underwatery for these underwater vibes coming off this video. Let me scale this down to 1/128. I finally sussed out what was causing the crashes, and it had to do with this being set to off and the length of the loop being dragged to an arbitrary point. But if we keep some kind of grid, we shouldn't experience crashes. And I did some tests and found that 1/128 or 1/256 both work pretty well. You can't really hear the loop. I mean, it's so subtle. So anyway, got a bug submitted to Ableton. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if they can fix it. All right, let's turn on this. It's always tricky in the beginning with these sketches, kind of having no clue what's happening, where it's going to go. Not going to lie, it's a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes right in the beginning. Is it going to be good enough? I oftentimes have to just shut myself up. That little voice that oftentimes says, is it gonna be good enough? Because that's not the point here. The point is just to try something new, have some fun, make some weird sounds, mostly the latter. Okay, let's jump over here and the chorus can provide an interesting and in subtle settings, an interesting stereo effect, but in extreme settings, I've had it even make almost vocal sounding effects, which is fascinating. Let's take her down by 12. And I'm going to go back over here and shorten this whole thing up just a bit. There we go. All right. Always takes a minute in the beginning to make something solid come out. Cool. Pull this just a little off the grid manually. There we go. Yeah, I got some kind of Star Wars-y sounding whoops. Now let's I can go and animate that. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with a couple of choruses in a row. Effects stacking is always a fun thing. Making effects sandwiches. One of my favorite things to do. Sweet. Now let's try. I'll take this dry wet down a little bit more. I like it there for now. Cool. So let's play with that. All right. And as always, I don't really like the dry wet on some of the plugins in Ableton. It's really clean sounding, and on others it's really clicky, and grain delay is definitely one of the clicky, zippery ones. So I just always add my own dry wet and drop whatever in there. We can put in more effects. Alright, let's prepare our automation lanes. Cool. Okay, turn that off. And maybe just for the hell, let's see what this. Give it a real tight decay. Let's play with the course here. I like how it almost changes pitch when we throw the rate up really high. Let's try 2 of these in a row. Very experimental, but I enjoy the subtle shift in pitch that comes out of this. Okay, so let's pull these back, and then this. Let's go ahead and give this a really long play here. We want it to start out as +1, and then it'll dive down to 0.5. Curious what just a second of really high pitch. so high up that it's just out of the range of hearing, or what's going on there? It's disappearing. Interesting. I kind of want to take a look at that on the EQ just to see what's happening. I'm guessing it's jumping so high up that we are not actually... That's very strange. We've got this image cutting off here, so let me just double check to make sure. Whoops, open up my preferences. Somehow our sample rate got set to 22. Interesting. Well, we don't want that. Let's go ahead and fix that. Okay. So, yeah, it was just jumping out of the range of the sample rate, I guess. Alright, let's go ahead and automate this. We just wanted to add a little more link there, so that's perfect. Okay. Cool. Now, let's try a little erosion on there. Just add a little digital bite. We only want this digital bite, digital grit happening every so often. There we go. Just a tiny bit of shine, but nothing crazy. Now I'm curious. Let's see what happens when we pull the chorus over here. And drop another chorus. Whoops. Right here. Getting some really intense tones right here, obviously. Very metallic coming out of the chorus here. Alright, let us animate the amount. That's an interesting combination with the amount going up and this delay 2 going down. So now I'm curious what will happen when we mess with delay 1. Okay. Some interesting little textures happening surrounding just this basic 2-note. It's got a very almost dreamy kind of we have that spectrally effect going on that we messed around with. I believe that was sketch 20. It's very radiophonic workshop-esque, I'd say. Maybe too synth bubbles-esque for my taste. So let's try to mess with some spray. Cool. Now, this thing is definitely tearing up the incoming audio pretty harshly. Maybe that's not a bad thing. And we got these hiccups now every time I turn this on because I set in the hotkey to save every time I push the button that turns all that on. But now that I know how to circumvent the bug that was crashing Ableton, I'll have to remove that so we don't get those hiccups quite as much. Ableton still wants to hiccup on me, I've noticed, for whatever reasons. Like, right there. Dragging an effect in, sometimes it just... Like, what are you thinking about there? It's just a flanger. Really nothing crazy, just a flanger. And if we pull this wet dry down, then we got our original tone back. So it's quite interesting, you know, what you can sort of morph a basic 2-note chord into some really nutty kind of sounding. Yes, I wanted to automate this as well from moving it around earlier, and I do think sometimes it's good to keep an ear out for when you're moving knobs around. What sounds interesting, and then try to capture that in automation form. And definitely have to automate this so we don't have the same effect sound going on the whole time. Because obviously with this amount on right here, it's kind of dominating. So if we just pull it up and bring it in every now and then, that will give more sounds, other sounds, breathing room. It's a difficult balance sometimes to figure out, you know, what what sounds need to be playing more than others, and how do we make that happen? Real dramatic difference in the grain delay right there. Once you throw the feedback up, things tend to get a little nutty. Not sure that's what we're going for today, but so okay, we've got this sort of tonal texture. It's like a tone-exture layer, and we could obviously get funky with some beats. That's a fun little thing to play around with, since I don't really release music that has beats. Maybe this is just my excuse to kind of mess around with those ideas. If not beats, at least some rhythm structures in here. But we won't know until we start getting a sound to actually work with. I don't know why, but I feel like this bass with this undulating frequency almost sounds good with the other layer. Almost. So let's go ahead and automate that. I do like this loop function. It can bring out some really fascinating little rhythmic types. Cool. I want to play with our bouncy baller. Let's see if we can get this thing to work somehow. Maybe we could drag it before here. So we've got C4. Yeah, I think we just needed some long notes, right, to run into our arpeggiator. It looks like C4. Create chain. I need to open up the rest of the notes. We'll designate C4. And let's create another chain. C4 through D. There we go. So we just need to get some unfold. Oh, are we not going to be allowed? I guess we have to put something in the drum rack around C4. So let's go ahead and do that. Drum rack is such a beast. I haven't fully wrapped my brain around it. Alright, let's see, simpler. Maybe we'll try simpler instead. Just switch it up. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I switched out the wrong thing. Let's try simpler here. And then make sure we've got our sample pulled in from... Save ourselves some trouble later. And then... let's go ahead and... Can I duplicate? Yes, we can hold down Control. Not sure what it is on the Mac, but... and then drag, and we can duplicate. So let's go ahead and get... Not much right out the gate. In fact, I should have done this first before duplicating. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just mute these for now. Cool. I'm going to... Let's pull this down so that our hotkeys can target the right drag and drop zones. And I think I need to... There we go. Let's give ourselves a little bit more... One more time. There we go. Got ourselves some random start point. I'm just going to drag that. Okay. These rhythms kind of haphazardly. Okay, cool. Let's turn that off. And then open this one up. Maybe a chord? I don't know. We'll see what we get. Sure, why not? I think once we get the rhythms going and set up, we can go back and adjust the timbres. I think I want more space here, so instead of 2, we'll give it... Okay, so we've got this one final one. And this, maybe we can drag in our noise snippet air gas sound. Obviously get some kind of a... Cool, let's automate that. Good old air gas. The rescue. Cool. And if we... That is fun to play with. I do like this bouncy baller, just in terms of the odd rhythms that it's making. It is it's definitely working for me. Cool. So far, so good. If I add in a randomizer before this air gas thing, what do we get? Just mess with the scale. Bye. I definitely have to play with this zappy zap kind of, looks like, wow, we could easily get lost here. Very strange little piece of sonic, whatever you want to call this. Is it music? Is it sound art? Is it, what the hell is it? What is going on? Alright, we'll leave it at that and put in a velocity right before. If Ableton will let us. I always feel like it's going to crash when it hangs like that. Oh, I like that random velocity in there, and I kind of want to have that also before this, as well as this. And this little clickiness needed some kind of maybe like a noisy kind of. I like the minimalism of it, the tight little sounds. Okay, this original kick bass thing needs a lot of work, and I'm thinking we will add in one of these gate speaker on-off things. Turn that map off there, and we don't need any of those. I don't know where this MIDI track came from. Stuff's just jumping out of the place, all over the place. I'm going to add a compressor to this that is sidechained from our drum rack. And let's just boost that. And maybe we'll move this in so that we get a little bit of effects tail happening. Now, I'm always curious what a drum bus sounds like. I do like the edge, the grit that this thing can add. Go plus. I'm not even sure what that is. Ah, I see. Sometimes I gotta turn on the info panel here just to get some cheats as to what some of this stuff even does. Force to note. This sets the low end enhancer's frequency to the value of the nearest MIDI note. So can we send MIDI notes into the drum bus and fire off stuff that way? Doesn't look like it's available to control, so it'd be interesting. So I'm guessing, yeah, either MIDI notes. I don't know why they would say it like that. Maybe they should just have said note. But oh, I see. Okay, so that's not go. That is actually G0. Okay, so I want to automate this frequency, and I need to turn off my info because I'm not getting a good target here. So let's try that again. There we go, and moving the bars and knobs and such. It's nice that you can tune this thing along. It's just a nice little. We can automate the boom also. This trim is kind of like, it's either a gain or maybe it's like a kind of a limiter of sorts. So we don't want to dampen it. So it's almost too much on with everything running through it. So maybe we'll just drop it right after our stupid little just pull the out down maybe. Okay, maybe we'll come back to that. I wanted to play with trying to use the air gas sample as maybe like a snare-ish kind of sound. Whoops, didn't want to do that. It sounds like somebody's trying to vacuum in the background. Not sure if a snare is going to happen. We could obviously mess with some of this loop stuff. And play with the filters. Sometimes that can bring out a bit of so let us add a LFO that's just this random sample and hold to our filter. And I'm gonna make a group here and drop in operator. Gotta pitch this down for sure. Okay, we'll have to come back to that. I want to also see if I can get a little hi-hat thing coming out of this. Sounds amazingly bad. Now I'm just curious I'm curious about a lot of things at this point. What all kind of crazy sounds can we get from this vocoder? I'm gonna try vocoder over here. Yeah, we get that feedback loop because we're pulling sound from this layer. Let's pull sound from the drum rack. So now we have kind of a twisting feedback loop going on. Not sure if we'll actually hear it much. Let's put this level up and well, we could try to create a rhythm out of this. Whoops. I'm just hitting random keys at this point, not even sure what is happening. I think we want to put a limiter on both of these just to prevent any excessive feedback. I'm kind of liking that. It's got a weird unpredictability going on with it. Let's pull this off. I'll keep it on the grid, but just pull it off by like a tiny bit. Cool. Fun with vocoders. I'm really into vocoders right now. Not really for voices, just for trying to run random things together and feedback loops and such. And of course modulating and automating the shit out of them. Because why not? Life's too short not to modulate everything. Cool. This little snare thing, I think I want to add tremolo to the air gas section only. This thing's got a kind of like calypso nonsense happening. Definitely got to get a gate on this one as well. Probably need a gate on the snare. Now we should put a random pitch on there. And let's get a chorus on this. That and there. So it's going to do something. Oh yes, yes. The gate, which I think, okay, I don't want to add it there because that's only to one. It's only one of the sounds for the snare. Let's go ahead and put that right at the beginning there. I think we need this pitch here. So I will have the speaker and let's modulate it. Sometimes I just switch between modulation and automation just to switch things up. I think it's good to like jump off course sometimes just to get a different perspective while still working on the same thing. There's no reason why you should feel like you have to, you know, get stuck in a rut. And let's listen to so maybe we've got this thing turning off too much. I only want it to turn off. Let's just cool. And we can automate these. Let's modulate these to just do some random stuff every now and then. Sounded pretty playful. I like this. It's funky, it's playful. Curious what our drum bus will sound like after this snare group. Definitely nice to give it a little lift. Feel like it was getting a little lost in the background. Let's try a lot of transient on that. Also, drop a tremolo that's set to that definitely cuts off a bit of the tail. It might take it a little too much into hi-hat territory. Good old delay could play with some crazy delay effects. Cool. Let's see if we can pull in some of that original tone. Like it was getting either, was it this one that was, one of these was kind of yeah, maybe it's this. It's killing our tone a little bit. It's hard to say. Definitely the sidechain compressor was killing that sound a lot. Let's add a pitch MIDI device here and modulate a +2 every now and then. Very reminiscent of that early works from that band Mouse on Mars, if you ask me. Let's check out what's going on here. I don't think I want it going down so far there. And one last thing, and I say one last thing a lot, but maybe this will be the last item that I want to add here. It's nice that we can drop in any kind of synth or sampler into a drum rack, and then we can further do weird types of stuff. I think everything we do here is weird types of stuff. in this. Don't need that much tail. Let's just do some interesting randomness. And we can throw a scale in there to kind of rein it in. Love automating an arpeggiator. You get some really bizarre rhythms. We could try grouping this and have dual arpeggiators, and I could drop the pitch of the second one down, and they could interact like in their own crazy weird way. And of course, we want to get that gate going on in there. Pull this outside the gate for now. And let's drop in some modulation that doesn't allow our gate to just be going on constantly. And let's add one in here. Can't see my menu. Modulation. And we maybe want to hear alright, let's start playing with some octaves. We actually need to get in and start modulating and automating on the analog instrument itself. Yep. Definitely want to hear some frequency action. Let's go ahead and add more length. Play with some more. Oops, wrong buttons. Let's go ahead and just drag that ourselves. Sometimes the random keyboard shortcut doesn't do exactly what I want it to. I want to also hear what the tail. And we can play with the octaves, that's always a fun one. Let's see what our voice count is looking like here. 32, that's plenty. Yeah, I think some semitone automation would be cool. I like to pull it away and then hit the delete key, and that jumps it back to its default. Hiccup. When the whole screen just freezes up. Yeah, absolutely terrifying sometimes. Oh, it's gonna crash. Almost crashed. I think we are pushing it to the limit apparently. Personally, I don't think we've got enough modulations going on here myself. It's got a very playful robot kind of feel to it. I am definitely liking this more and more. Let's have this turn on every now and then. I don't know what that's going to do. It could be the worst move ever. Let's have it mostly be off. Alright, Analog, I am not done with you yet. It's got a talkative quality. It's a very social... Almost like it's like a cat alien trying to communicate with us. Just silly little cat alien right there, but friendly, you know. Obviously, doesn't want to suck our brains out and eat it too badly. Maybe a little bit. So we've got 100. Let's just try some different tempo options other than 120. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I've heard worse. But a little faster was funner, I think. So, okay. Yeah, I think we're good on this. We could always come back to it later and keep adding on, or... Always could add an extra layer of effects to run it through. We could flip on the effects every now and then just to add some nuttiness in the mix. Very sassy analog. You can kind of see just little robot creatures doing a fashion show with this, you know, and then just like wheeling down the runway. Silly. But fun to have little silly, ridiculous ideas for music videos for some of this nonsense. Yeah, I told myself, well, now's a good stopping point, and then I always change my mind, you know? I just... Hilarious. So let us pull sound really quick from... I guess we would want to make a group here. We'll pull from the group. Send. Really looking forward to Ableton 11's new jump follow action. I think that one's going to be pretty slick. Also clip follow actions for these scenes. That'll be cool. It'll be a lot of fun. I should probably quit here while I'm still ahead, but let's just let's entertain for shits and giggles. External, maybe from the Let's try some more bands than that. I haven't actually messed with a reverb on this one yet, which is for me kind of weird. I'm typically a cool. Let's start moving things around. I want to play around with adding another wet and dry to the reverb. Again, I should also add a wet and dry proper to this grain delay, because obviously, as we've noticed before, the wet and dry built into it is zippery and clicky as hell. And we could just have all the effects on our little effects track here inside of a big ol' wet and dry. Next one. And we could have as many of these effects racks in a row and just sort of turn them on and off as we want. For those of you who haven't seen me do this before, why on earth would you want to route from a group to, you know, this effects, I guess, auxiliary track using this gate audition on? Well, that's because you can't have dummy clips in a group, sadly. So you can't automate effects in this session view that way. Pretty lame, but hey, there are workarounds, thankfully. Porpoise always adds a nice shine. That is alien. Very nutty. Don't die on me, Ableton. I had this same problem when I was working with Ableton 9 a lot on OS X. I don't know if it must just be built into Ableton. Sometimes it just chokes. Granted, we're kind of pushing Ableton, you know, to its limits. All right, one last indulgent effects abuse for the night, and then we'll call it on this funny, ridiculous sketch. I like that shimmer. Just fade that in every now and then. I try to keep these sketches down to an hour or less, but honestly, you know, when you're just having this much fun, how can you stop? And that's the beauty of YouTube. You just go as long as you want. I think 12 hours might be the limit, but who's counting? And, oh, there you go. Just yeah, maybe not that. Just keep adding and adding forever and ever. Amen. Cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Obviously, you know, I don't think we really kind of followed anything going on in the video. I think if we were going to do that, we would want to probably drop in something like Time stretch, yes. This effect here is takes anything you run through it and turns it into the most ridiculous drone. And it takes a while for the sound to cycle through it. I'm just curious what it'll sound like when we... And I've got a tutorial that was done several years ago. It's on my YouTube channel that shows how to basically make this whole crazy array of delays and reverbs, and there's just a lot of nonsense going in there. Probably don't even need half of it. But it sure smears things out. Kind of like this this trails effect we got going on in Resolume that I like to add to a lot of videos. I like to slow the videos down. Let's see if I can stretch this out. The pitch of the video. And gosh, I really love Resolume. There's just so much fun you can have, especially when you send MIDI out from Ableton and you have clips firing off, video clips firing off to audio clips. And so I like to set the pitch down on the clip and add this trails effect. Super basic, but helps really smear the video out, and I think it's a lot easier to work with, you know, make music with video when it's not quite as jerky, but you know, I think if we let's see what is happening there. Yeah, it seems like turn the opacity down and that was for the whole layer. Not see, Resolume is something that I'm still wrapping my brain around with. I haven't spent as much time as I wished. Yeah, so now the music is a lot more fitting of the video. There we go. Love messing around with the tempo also. Sometimes hitting stop. And then shift in space, and then just seeing if we get any weird little tails. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun, so let's wrap it up and get back to it sometime soon.